I've replayed that night more times than I can count, sometimes in slow motion, sometimes in flashes like my mind can't decide whether it wants to torture me or warn me. But every replay always begins with the same thing. The glowing screen of my phone, the half-written message, and my thumb hovering just above send. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, the wind outside rattling my window in that uneven rhythm I always found unsettling. The power had gone out earlier, leaving the whole street in darkness except for the occasional sweep of car headlights passing by. My phone was the only light in the room, pale and cold, shining directly on my face. The message box was still open. "If you don't stop this, I swear I never finished the sentence." Not because I didn't know what to write, but because my phone suddenly vibrated with an incoming notification, his name lighting up the screen. Andrew. Even seeing his name made something twist in my stomach. Not fear. Not exactly. It was something heavier. Something that made my skin prickle and my heart start that strange nervous beating. I opened the notification, expecting another one of his long, too perfect apologies. Instead, it was just one line. "Don't send it." No greeting, no explanation, no smiley like he always used before. Just that "don't send it." I froze, staring at his message. There was no way he could have known what I was typing. I never told him. I hadn't talked to him all day. I even turned off my read receipts weeks ago. My first thought was that maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe he just felt guilty. Maybe he assumed I was angry. But then my phone buzzed again. "You're not ready." That's when I felt the cold. Not the type of cold that comes from the weather or an open window. It was deeper, pulling itself slowly up my spine, settling at the base of my neck like invisible fingers pressing lightly, almost thoughtfully. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Minutes passed. Maybe 10. Maybe 20. Time didn't feel real. Just as I began to put the phone down, another message came. "If you send it, you'll change everything." And then everything. As if he needed to say it twice to make sure I understood. I swallowed hard, my heart thudding so loudly I could hear it echo in the quiet of my room. A strange urge crawled into me, an instinct telling me to delete the unsent message, to erase it, to pretend I'd never typed anything at all. But I didn't delete it. Instead, I locked my phone, placed it face down on the bed, and tried to breathe. Just breathe. That was when I heard something. 3 slow knocks. Not on my door, not on the window, but from inside the house. I held my breath. The knocks came again, steady, deliberate, like someone was signaling or responding. That was the moment I realized something terrifying. The messages weren't just warnings, they were instructions, and I wasn't alone. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing that same message in my mind, the one I'd typed. The one I never sent, the one that should have stayed locked inside my phone. "I know what you did." I had written it weeks ago, during the worst moment of my life. But I'd never hit send. I remember staring at those words until my eyes blurred, then deleting them. So how did it show up in my friend's inbox yesterday? The morning after, the air in my apartment felt heavier than usual, almost like someone else had slept in the room with me. I walked to the kitchen, my bare feet sticking slightly to the cold tiles. My phone vibrated on the counter. A new notification. For a second, I hesitated to look. After what happened yesterday, I wasn't sure I could trust my phone anymore. But curiosity won. I slid my thumb across the screen. Unknown number. "Why didn't you finish what you started?" My heart lurched. I reread the message 5 times. No profile picture. No name. No previous chat history. Just that question. My first thought was that someone was messing with me, someone who somehow knew about the unsent message. But the only person who ever saw that draft was me. I never talked about it. I never showed anyone. My fingers trembled as I typed back. "Who is this?" Before I could send it, 3 dots appeared as if the stranger had been waiting. The dots blinked, then stopped, then blinked again. Finally, the reply came, "You did." I dropped the phone. It hit the kitchen floor with a crack that echoed too loudly in the small room. That I wasn't scared, that I was something worse. I was confused. That I grabbed the phone with both hands, almost angry at it. That I didn't send that earlier message, and I definitely didn't send anything to this unknown number. But the more I thought about it, the more yesterday replayed in my mind. Nadia's shocked voice saying the message felt wrong, like it had been typed in a hurry, like someone was standing over her shoulder watching, like someone wanted her to read it. And I swallowed hard. Was this the same someone? The kettle on the stove hissed suddenly, making me jump. I hadn't even realized I turned it on. That I shut it off and slid my phone into my pocket, needing to get out of the house, away from the stale air and invisible tension pressing on my chest. I walked down to the street, breathing the cold morning air. Cars passed, people hurried by, everyone living their own life, unaware that mine was beginning to feel unreal. As I headed toward the small cafe at the corner, my phone buzzed again. That I didn't want to answer, but I looked. Unknown number. Don't ignore me. The message popped up along with something else. A photo. That I tapped it with shaking fingers. That it was me, standing in my kitchen, taken from behind. That I froze on the sidewalk, unable to move, unable to breathe. Whoever sent this, they weren't guessing, they weren't hacking my phone, they were watching me. And worse, the timestamp on the photo was from 2 minutes ago. My kitchen window faced the back courtyard. Anyone could have been outside, behind the trash bins, under the metal staircase, behind the fence, watching, waiting. I spun around, scanning the street, the rooftops, the reflections in the cafe window across from me. Everyone looked ordinary. No one looked at me twice. But that didn't reassure me. Not anymore. I darted into the cafe and sat at the far corner, facing the door. I kept my phone on the table, screen up. My leg bounced uncontrollably. "Rough morning?" the barista asked gently. I managed a weak smile. "Something like that." While she prepared my drink, I opened the message again, zooming in on the shadows behind me in the photo. A shape, a blur, almost like a figure standing just at the edge of the window frame, but not clear enough to recognize. That made it worse. When I finally lifted my coffee cup, my phone vibrated again, longer this time, like a call. But it wasn't a call. It was another message. This time only one sentence. "Next time, turn around faster." My hands went numb. This wasn't random. This wasn't a prank. Someone wanted something from me, something tied to that unsent message. Something tied to the past I tried to forget. I didn't know what they wanted yet. But I knew one thing. They weren't stopping. And I wasn't safe. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the notification, that impossible, taunting notification, message received. A message I never sent. I kept telling myself there had to be an explanation. A glitch, a hallucination, maybe stress. But deep down, some instinct whispered the truth. Something had answered me. By morning, my phone felt poisonous in my hand, like it was quietly breathing. I forced myself out of bed, washed my face, and opened my curtains. The street outside was normal. The world looked calm, peaceful. Nothing reflected the cold dread twisting inside me. I remembered the number, and for the first time, a detail hit me hard. I had deleted that contact a year ago, so why did my phone show it again, neatly saved, as if someone had re-added it? Or something. I decided to test it. I opened the chat. The typing bar at the bottom blinked like an impatient eye. I typed a single message. "Who are you?" My thumb hovered over send, but then I remembered. I hadn't pressed send last time either, so I pressed back, exited the chat, and waited. 20 seconds passed. 40 a minute. And just as I released the breath I was holding, a notification slid onto my screen. Typing, my entire body froze. I didn't move. I didn't blink. And then it appeared. "You already know." I swear my blood turned to ice. I never pressed send. Never. And still it replied. My hands trembled so violently I dropped my phone on the bed. The room felt colder, darker, like the shadows had leaned in to listen. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to convince my brain that this couldn't be real. But then the phone vibrated again. Another message. Why did you try to forget me? Forget them? Forget who? My chest tightened. My mind raced through memories, old friends, old crushes, random arguments, forgotten numbers. But nothing fit. Nothing made sense. Unless the message wasn't from someone alive. I forced myself to pick up the phone, and my fingers moved on their own, typing before I could think. What do you want from me? Again, I didn't press send. Again, the message went through. Sent. Delivered. Seen that I felt sick. The reply came immediately. You're feared that that's what you owe me. My heart hammered against my ribs. Fear. It wanted my fear. But why? Who wants fear? What kind of person or thing lives on it? Another message arrived before I could breathe. You left me alone in the dark, and now you will feel what I felt. A ringing filled my ears, not from my phone, but from somewhere inside my skull, like my brain couldn't handle the words. Left them alone in the dark? When? Where? How? I didn't know. I couldn't. No, because nothing about this matched reality. Or maybe there was something I had tried to forget. Something painful. Something pushed so deep it slipped into the cracks of my memory. I stared at the screen until it blurred. Then suddenly a photo appeared in the chat. A photo I had never taken at a place I didn't recognize. A cold basement, a single metal chair, and in the corner the faint outline of a person standing, watching, waiting. The figure had no face. And no shape, just darkness. But the worst part was the caption beneath it. You were here, and you left me behind. I stumbled back, my knees hitting the edge of my bed. How could I have been in a place I had never seen? Unless the reason I didn't remember was because I wasn't supposed to. I wanted to scream, run, throw the phone out the window. But a quiet part of me, the part that still clung to logic, whispered, if you want answers, you have to keep reading. And I hated that voice, but it was right. So I forced myself to raise the phone again, my breath shaking out of sync. Just then, another message appeared, not typed, not written, sent as a voice note. A voice note from a contact who shouldn't exist. A voice note I did not want to open. A voice note whose tiny waveform pulsed like a heartbeat. My finger hovered over it. My pulse pounded. And for the first time I realized the truth that chilled me deeper than all the messages so far. Whatever was sending these, it wasn't done with me. Not even close. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the notification, the one that shouldn't have been possible. A message I never sent, glowing on Ian's lock screen in my dreamlike memory. BY morning. I convinced myself it had to be a glitch. My brain overwhelmed, but a small voice in my chest whispered, check your drafts. I got ready for class, hands shaking, and grabbed my phone. When I opened the messaging app, my breath hitched. The unsent message, the one I had drafted on that night. I cried until I felt hollow. The one I deleted, it was back. Same exact words, same timestamp from weeks ago. But now the message had a faint gray tag under it. Seen. I froze. Seen by who? How? I never sent it. My finger hovered over the screen. I checked my data logs. No record of sending anything. No sync issues. No cloud backup restoring old drafts. Just that tag. Staring at me. Seen. I locked my phone and forced myself to leave for university, though every step felt like I was dragging my fear behind me like a heavy shadow. The day passed in a blur of half-heard lectures and half-finished notes. My friends asked if I was okay, and I lied with the easiest excuse ever invented. Just tired. But something had changed, not outside, but inside me. A quiet dread blooming. A feeling that the past I had tried to forget had stretched its hand back toward me. Walking home, my phone buzzed. A new message. From an unknown number. I swallowed and opened it. It was a single sentence. Why didn't you send it? My legs almost buckled. The street suddenly felt too empty. Too quiet. I typed shakily. Who is this? 3 dots appeared instantly. Someone was typing. But then they vanished. Then appeared again, vanished. Again, like someone was trying to reply but couldn't decide what to say. I felt watched. Not by people on the street. Not by cars. By the phone in my hand. I forced myself to keep walking. Fast but not running. Running would have made everything feel real, and I wasn't ready for that. Just as I reached my street, my phone buzzed again. Another message. This time only 2 words. Check home. My heart dropped, because at that exact moment, I realized something terrifying. My house lights were already on, but I had turned them off before leaving. I stood frozen at the end of my street, staring at my house like it had become something alive. The lights glowed through the curtains, warm, soft, familiar, but right now they felt wrong. Like a smile stretched too wide. I whispered to myself, maybe I left something on. Maybe I forgot. But I knew I hadn't. I was too careful, too routine. After everything that happened with Ian, I double-checked everything in my life. Lights, locks, everything. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Same unknown number. Go inside. A chill ran straight down my spine. I hugged my bag tighter and walked toward the house in slow, tiny steps, like the pavement might break beneath me. My key shook in my hand as I put it into the lock, and stopped. The door was already unlocked. I didn't open it. I couldn't. Not yet. What is happening? I whispered, tears prickling. Who are you? My phone buzzed immediately. Just go in. I wanted to run. Call someone. Call anyone. But fear makes you do strange things. It traps you between logic and panic. So with a trembling breath, I pushed the door open. The hallway was exactly the same. Shoes by the wall. Umbrella stand. The old mirror that I always avoided at night. Everything quiet. Too quiet. I stepped inside, leaving the door slightly open behind me. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it in my ears. I reached for the light switch, then stopped when I realized the living room light was already on. I peeked around the corner. Nothing moved, and yet, the air felt recently disturbed, like someone had just walked through it. I forced myself deeper inside, calling out, "Hello? Is someone here?" No answer. But my phone lit up again. You kept the message. You wanted someone to see it. A wave of dread washed over me and I typed fast. I deleted that message weeks ago. Almost instantly. I know. I swallowed hard. Who are you? The reply came after a long, heavy pause. The one you never sent it to. My breath caught. Oh no, it couldn't be. This wasn't possible. I whispered his name like a secret I was scared to break. Ian. The 3 dots appeared. Stopped. Appeared again, stopped. Then a final message came through. I read it. Why didn't you send it when you still had time? My knees nearly gave out. I backed away into the hall, my hand gripping the wall for balance. Because suddenly I remembered something I had buried so deeply it felt like someone else's memory. The night I typed that message, the night I deleted it, the night I cried myself to sleep, that same night Ian had an accident, a serious one, the kind people don't always recover from. My chest tightened painfully. No, I whispered. Someone is messing with me. He's alive. He's okay. Then I heard it, a faint sound behind me, from inside the house, a soft, slow creak. Like someone had just stepped on the floorboard near my room. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, the blue glow of Liam's unsent message flashed behind my eyelids like a warning light. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every strange detail I had ignored. The feeling of being watched at the cafe. The reflection that didn't match my movement. The footsteps outside my door that stopped the moment I approached. Maybe none of it meant anything, or maybe all of it meant the same thing. By morning, my phone screen was smeared with fingerprint streaks from how many times I had checked it. No new messages. No calls. No more unsent messages either. But something else appeared. A notification from an app one didn't remember installing. Trace log. Your activity has been recorded. My stomach tightened. The app icon was a thin, perfect circle empty in the middle, the hollow-shaped. I tapped it, open to a blank screen, except for one line of text at the top. You should have sent it. I dropped the phone so fast it bounced off my comforter. My first instinct was to delete the app, but every time my finger hovered over the uninstall button, the screen flickered like the phone itself didn't want me to. And then the screen changed again. My breath caught. It showed a map. A live mapped my location pulsed in the center. And another device was moving closer, slowly, steadily, right toward me. No, I whispered. No. I jumped out of bed and ran to the window. Morning light spilled across the street. People walked by, cars passed, everything looked painfully normal. But the dot kept moving until it stopped. Right outside my building. My hand shook so badly I almost dropped the phone again. I backed away from the window, heart pounding against my ribs, as if trying to escape before I could. Then my phone vibrated. A new notification. Not from Tracelog, from a normal messaging app. A number I didn't recognize sent a single line. Check your hallway. I froze. Another vibration. Another message. He's already there. A chill rolled over me so sharp I almost gasped. Who was he? Was it Liam? Was it someone else? I crept toward my apartment door, every step slow, careful, my heartbeat loud enough to drown out my breathing. I pressed my ear against the wood. Silence. Then a soft knock. Not loud, not threatening, almost polite. 3 gentle taps. I backed away, shaking my head. Whoever it was, they were patient. They weren't jiggling the handle or pounding. They were waiting. A third message arrived. If you don't open it, he will. I swallowed hard. My eyes darted around my apartment, desperate for something, anything that made sense. And that's when I noticed the pattern. A circle. The same hollow circle from the Tracelog app drawn on my fogged bathroom mirror, scratched lightly into the wooden floor by my door. Marked on the outside of my window a few days ago. I thought it was dirt. It was all the same symbol. Someone had marked me long before the unsent message appeared. My ringtone shattered the silence. I nearly screamed. I looked at the caller ID. My own number. Calling me. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The knocking stopped. Silence. Swallowed the hallway again, thick and suffocating. Then another message appeared on my phone. This one wasn't from a stranger. It wasn't from an app. It wasn't from Liam. It was from me. A message I had never written. A message I had never sent. Let him in. My legs went numb. Someone or something wasn't just watching me. They were using my own digital footprints to speak to me. The realization sank in slowly, painfully, like cold water rising past my knees. This wasn't about Liam. This wasn't even about the message. This was about me, and whoever or whatever was at my door wanted something I didn't understand yet. But I would. Because the last line that appeared on my screen wasn't a request. It was a promise. Tonight, you will finally know why he wants your silence. I stayed awake the entire night after the intruder scare, if it was an intruder to be. Morning. My nerves were stretched so thin that even the sound of the kettle boiling made me jump. But the second message wouldn't leave my mind. I didn't mean to scare you. I kept thinking about those words. About how the entire situation felt less like a threat, and more like someone trying to force a conversation I never wanted to have. I got ready for university, though every movement felt mechanical. I didn't want to stay home, but I didn't want to leave either. Fear had boxed me in from both sides. On the way out, I grabbed my phone. Another message waited from the same unknown number. Listen before you decide. Listen to what? There was an audio file attached. My hand trembled as I tapped it. A wave of static crashed through my earphones, loud enough to make me rip them halfway out. But then the noise softened, drifting into a faint whisper that crawled under my skin. A voice familiar, aching, spoke through the crackling interference. My name. Not just said, begged. I dropped the phone, because I knew that voice. I had heard it once before, long ago, on the night everything in my life broke apart. The night I had written the unsent message. The night I wished I could forget. I picked up the phone again. hands shaking, and replayed the audio. The distortion was worse now, like someone or something else was trying to speak at the same time. Layered under the whisper, there was another faint sound: breathing. Close breathing. Too close that I paused the audio immediately that I couldn't breathe. My mind spun. How did they record that voice? Why did they have it? Why now? A notification interrupted my spiral. Unknown number. Come to the place where you wrote it. My heart iced over. There was only one place I could have written that message, the one I deleted. The one that returned. The one that was never supposed to see the light of day, at a little cafe tucked behind my old apartment. The same cafe where I had last seen Ian, where he told me things that cracked my trust, where I realized what he had done, where I typed the message I never sent. That I stared at the text, my mind racing. Whoever was behind this didn't just know my phone. They knew my past. My memories. My regrets. I didn't want to go. But the truth, the awful, unavoidable truth, pressed itself into my chest. If I didn't go now, the messages wouldn't stop. The past wouldn't stop. That I slipped on my shoes and left, each step heavy, each breath thin. The world outside looked normal, regular people walking, cars rushing by, birds chirping, but something about the sky felt wrong. Too still, as if the day was holding its breath with me. When I reached the cafe street, my phone vibrated again. A new message. I'm inside. My heart pounded so hard I felt it in my throat. That I pushed open the cafe door. Empty. Except a single phone lay on the table where I always used to sit, screen facing up. Notification glowing. .1 new voice message. My throat tightened. Whoever wanted my fear, whoever had dragged my past back into my present, wasn't hiding anymore. They were waiting, and whatever was on that phone was meant for me alone. That I reached toward it, fingers trembling. Just one tap. I didn't sleep the night after Jonah's message vanished. Every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing those 3 words. You ignored me. It didn't matter that I had proof I hadn't. It didn't matter that I knew I replied. Whatever was taunting me didn't care about proof. It wanted something else. That it wanted me. The next morning my phone buzzed. .1 new notification. But it wasn't from Jonah. It was from an unknown number. No name. No profile picture. Just a blank gray icon and a number I'd never seen. The message said only, check your gallery. My body froze. That I didn't want to open my gallery. That I didn't want to touch anything connected to my phone. Every instinct in me screamed to throw the whole thing out the window, but I opened it anyway. And there it was. A new album. Untitled folder. I tapped it, expecting screenshots or maybe some glitch file. But instead, there were pictures of me sleeping, lying on my left side, wearing the shirt I wore last night. My hair spread across my pillow exactly the way I remembered it when I woke up. But what terrified me wasn't the photos of myself. It was what was in the corner of the room. A shadow. Human-shaped. Not touching the ground, watching me. My breathing went sharp, sudden, uncontrolled. I looked up from the screen, slowly scanning my room just to make sure I was alone. I was released. Physically. I deleted the photos instantly. My hands were shaking so badly that I almost dropped the phone. After that, I spent the morning checking my windows, my front door, even my closet, because seeing myself asleep from an angle I had never seen before made me question everything. I didn't find anything unusual, but when I returned to my living room, I noticed something I was sure wasn't there before. On the center of my coffee table, a single sheet of paper. It looked torn from a notebook. I picked it up using only my fingertips, as if touching it fully would somehow let something reach me through the paper. Written in messy handwriting, uneven, rushed, almost shaking, was a question. Why didn't you send it? My heart hammered. The room felt smaller, like the walls were quietly leaning in. What message? What did I not send? What was happening to me? I flipped the paper over, hoping for more clarity. Instead, there was a Polaroid taped to the back. And when I peeled it off and looked at it, my legs went weak. It was a picture of me taken from behind me, sitting on my couch exactly where I was standing now. But behind me in the photo, a figure stood just inches away. Not a solid person, not a shadow. Something in between, blurred, distorted. But its face, no, its lack of a face was pointed toward me. A cold shock hit my spine so suddenly I almost dropped the picture. The air in my apartment felt wrong, thicker, like someone had just exhaled on the back of my neck. I turned slowly. Nothing, but I didn't feel alone. Not anymore. Not even for a second. I grabbed my keys, shoved my feet into the nearest shoes, and bolted out of the apartment. I didn't care where I was going. I just needed to not be in there. I ended up at a small cafe 3 blocks away, sitting in a corner seat, staring at my cold coffee. I needed answers. I needed to talk to Jonah. I opened my messages and typed, "Something is wrong. Really wrong. I need to talk to you." I hit send before I could stop myself. For once, the message didn't disappear. But instead of Jonah replying, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Good. Now answer. Then another. What did you want to tell him? My stomach twisted. How did they know? How did they see the message I just sent? I didn't respond. My hands were shaking too much to type. Then a final message came. If you don't tell the truth, I will. I felt the blood drain from my face, because I knew exactly what truth they meant. The one thing I had never said out loud. The secret I'd kept for over a year. The thing that tied me and Jonah together in a way he never even realized. The thing I never sent. The thing I tried to bury. The message that started all of this. And now someone or something wanted it, wanted my fear, wanted me to say it. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. Not at all. And whoever was behind this, they knew it. They were pushing me towards something I wasn't ready to face. Something I wasn't sure I could survive. I don't think I'll ever forget the moment my phone buzzed that night. I was lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself that everything I had gone through, the glitches, the voice notes, the strange typing bubbles that appeared and vanished, were just stress. Just my imagination. Just my brain trying to fill in the blanks of loneliness. But then the notification appeared. .1 New message from unknown. I sat up instantly. My heart didn't race, it froze. Because the preview didn't show a text. It showed a photo. A screenshot. And the thumbnail, it looked like my chat screen. I tapped it with trembling fingers. The photo opened. It was my chat screen, my conversation with Daniel, but not the one I remembered. This wasn't the version where the last message was unsent. This version included something else. Something I never wrote. Something typed in the message box, half finished, as if someone had been typing on my phone while I had been asleep. The message draft said, "I know what you're trying to do. Stop watching me." I felt cold that I had never typed that. Then I noticed something worse. The top of the screenshot, where my phone's reflection should have been showing the notification bar, there was a sliver of something, a shape, a silhouette of a face close, too close, like someone had taken the screenshot while holding the phone right in front of their eyes. In a dark room, with my wallpaper behind it.my wallpaper was visible. My wallpaper.my room. That screenshot had been taken in my room. I threw my phone aside. Like it burned me. It slid off the blankets and hit the floor with a soft thud. But I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Every inch of my skin felt like static. I forced myself to grab the phone again. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped it twice. I replied, "Who is this? How did you get into my phone?" 3 dots appeared. Then vanished. Then appeared again. My pulse hammered so loud I couldn't hear anything else. Finally, the reply came through. Unknown. You left the door open. My lungs locked at a no. No. I always locked my door. Always. Then a second message appeared before I could even think. Unknown. Not that one. A cold awareness crept up my spine. Not my room door. Not my house door. He meant something else. Something terrifying, something invisible. Something I had been opening all along without realizing. My phone screen flashed again. Another message. Unknown. He used my name. He knew my name. I didn't type anything else. I couldn't, because slowly, very slowly, I heard the faintest sound from the other side of my room. A small, careful shift of weight, like someone adjusting their standing position in the dark, and I realized I was not alone. Not even close. I didn't turn toward the sound. I couldn't. Every instinct I had, every survival reflex screamed at me not to move, not to breathe, not to acknowledge what I already felt watching me. The air in my room had changed. It felt thick, like someone else was breathing in. My phone vibrated in my hand again. Unknown. Don't look yet. You're not ready. My grip tightened until my knuckles ached. The message, the timing, the sound in the room. Whoever this was, they weren't guessing what I was doing. They were seeing me do it. I swallowed hard, my throat stiff and dry. What do you want from me? I typed with shaking thumbs. The reply came instantly. Unknown. What you've been giving me from the beginning. A chill crawled across my back. Unknown. Your fear. I felt my heart thump so violently it almost hurt. I finally whispered, not into the phone, but into the room itself. Why me? Something shifted in the darkness. Soft. Slow. And then he answered through the phone. Unknown. Because you invited me. My chest tightened. I never invited anyone. Not into my home. Not into my life. When? I typed, fingers stiff. Unknown. When you wrote the message you never sent. My mind reeled. The unsent message. The one to Daniel. The one I kept opening, reading, rewriting. Feeling everything all over again. That message wasn't just sitting there. It wasn't just unfinished. It was a door. And every time I clicked it, every time I stared at those words, every time I thought about what I wished I could say, I was opening that door wider. A soft exhale brushed the back of my neck. I froze. My phone buzzed again. Unknown. Now you're ready. I couldn't stop myself. I turned around, and for the briefest, smallest fraction of a second, I saw him. A man-shaped shadow standing far too close, tall enough to scrape the ceiling with his presence alone. His edges weren't solid, more like drifting smoke held together by something conscious. His face. No face at all, just a smooth darkness, a depth where features should have been. Then the lights flickered once, twice, and he vanished, but the room didn't feel empty. Not anymore. Not ever again. My phone chimed with one last message. Unknown. Thank you, Anna. You're mine now. My breath trembled as the words burned themselves into my mind. I backed up until I hit the wall beside my bed, gripping my phone like a lifeline, but it was no lifeline. Not anymore. The screen changed again. A new message appeared on its own draft. He's still here. My hands weren't even touching the keyboard, and that's when I understood the tragic truth. The unsent message wasn't the mistake. Sending it would have closed the door. Leaving it unfinished, leaving it hanging, left me hanging with it. A permanent invitation. A permanent opening. A permanent place for him. The man who wanted my fear, and now, he has it, all of it, because he never left my room that night. And he never will.